Hello everyone. It is 9th week, and again we will continue our discussion on new trade theories and its impact on the interpretation of the welfare of international trade. And again, we are doing not that short, actually fairly a long review of trade theory. And first part was classical trade theory, which has explained so-called inter-industry trade. Each country export a product or industry where they have a comparative advantage, while importing the product where they have comparative disadvantage. So export item and import item is basically different, explained by classical trade theory. And last week, we examined new trade theory. And based on the assumption of non-comparative market, mainly driven by economies of scale effect, we have seen that even if they trade the same product as an export and import item, still they can benefit a lot, so-called intra-industry trade. And we have seen that mainly assuming monopolistic comparative market, they could benefit a lot from intra-industry trade, mainly benefiting from the economies of scale effect. And so we defined basic demand function for individual firm producing monopolistic comparative differentiated products in monopolistic comparative market. We defined demand function for individual firm producing differentiated products can be defined as a total market size, and actually, when every firm set the price equal, there is the price for this product is set equal to the average price of the differentiated products, then the amount of demand for that individual firm would be total market size divided by N. But if price is higher than average price, definitely because it's more expensive, the demand level will be decreased by reflecting price elasticity of demand. And from this demand function, we could redefine that QS once again is 1 over N plus BP minus BP. Then we can rearrange to inverse demand functional form to P equal 1 over NB plus P bar minus 1 over BS times Q. So given this inverse demand function, we can say this is the slope of this inverse demand function, and this is intercept of the inverse demand function. Then we can describe this inverse demand function with this way. This would be demand curve, and this slope is just this one would be slope of this inverse demand function, and intercept here would be same thing as this one. And then given this downward sloping demand function where each firm has a strong market power, this is demand function for an individual firm. Then what would be the profit level of this individual firm? So always profit maximizing condition is marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. And we can show that marginal revenue curve for this firm can be represented with this would be marginal revenue curve for this individual firm. And then in case the marginal cost of this firm is higher than this intercept. For example, if marginal cost is located here, demand curve is what actually all the combination of the reservation price of the consumers. So this is the maximum price consumer is ready to pay for each additional output level. So if production cost itself is higher than the reservation price, there will be no consumer who is ready to pay this high price. So this firm will be simply kicked out from the market. And so we can describe the relationship between the marginal cost. And let's say this is the marginal cost of the firm, and vertical axis means the level of profit. So let's say this margin, this level, the intercept, this would be if the marginal cost is same as this one, this intercept, then profit will be 0, right? And then what will happen if the marginal cost is somewhat lower, like this one, marginal cost 0, 1. If marginal cost is this one, then always profit can be maximized when marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. So they will produce this amount of output, but still consumers are ready to pay higher price. So this would be what's so-called profit level of this firm when the marginal cost is this level. So let's say if marginal cost is lower to this level, level of profit would be somewhere around here. Then what will happen if marginal cost is reduced further? If marginal cost is reduced further, lowered, then again, profit maximizing, according to profit maximizing rule, they will produce at the level where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, and so they will produce this much, but consumer is also ready to pay according to their demand function. So this would be the market price. This would be original price when marginal cost is here. This is monopoly price. And if marginal cost is reduced to this level, then consumers are ready to pay this level, consuming this much. So again, this would be total production cost, and this yellow line would be new increased level of profit when the marginal cost is reduced further. So if marginal cost is reduced this much, they will have much increased amount of output level. This is first level, and this is second profit level. And what will happen if margin revenue profit is if the marginal cost is reduced further? Then again, we will see that they will produce more where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, and also consumers are ready to pay more at the level of the demand curve. And here we can see profit is increased. Profit is increased. Furthermore, this is what again another increased amount of profit if marginal cost is reduced to this level. So we will have much higher profit. So when we continue all the combination of marginal cost and profit level, we will have these types of curve combining the match of the marginal cost and the corresponding profit level. Then, what will happen if international trade happen to this economy? What we will see is this is what inverse demand function for individual firm producing output level. And we have seen that after international trade taking the form of intra-industry trade, we have seen the number of variety is increased, and also total market size is increased. So the demand curve slope is getting flatter, and intercept is getting lowered. So instead of this original demand curve, after international trade, slope is get flatter somewhere around here, and intercept is getting lower here, and slope of demand curve will much flatter. This would be new demand curve after international trade. Then we will have a new relative marginal revenue curve given somewhere here. This would be new marginal revenue curve. This is original marginal revenue curve. Then what will happen, say, to the relationship between the varying production cost level and profit level? We will see that after this trade, this would be new lowered intercept of the demand curve. And so if the production cost is higher than this intercept, firm will profit make a loss. So we can say this intercept is getting lowered somewhere around here. And so this new lower intercept would be somewhere here. And the slope is getting also flatter. So we will have this demand curve. And then what will happen if price marginal cost is given originally to here? In this case, again, profit is maximized where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue. So here, and so the profit level would be this size, this would be new profit level after international trade. And it should be a little bit lower than here, somewhere here. And then what about if marginal cost is reduced to this level? And we will see that new lower profit marginal cost level, their profit level will be much bigger. Somewhat here. This would be new, bigger profit level. So it should be a little bit higher than the earlier case. And what about the even lower profit level, cost level? Then you can see profit will maximize where marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, new marginal revenue here. So new profit level would be much bigger than the earlier case. So much bigger somewhere here. So we will experience a new profit marginal cost matching after. This is a so-called before trade. And after trade, we will have a new curve showing this is an after trade. So getting what? When the cost is getting lower, the profit level of the firm is much more higher than earlier case. Then what will happen if marginal cost is relatively higher? Then the firm located in between this range will be what? This would be so-called firms. Kind of kicked out from the market. Kicked out from market after trade from market. After trade, firms with the cost range located somewhere around here is actually, let's say, kicked out from the market after trade. Since after trade, the intercept of the demand curve getting lowered. In other words, reservation price for the product became what? Lower. Why? Since there is more variety, larger variety of product is available, consumers became somewhat more picky. So the maximum price they are ready to pay became somewhat lower. With those kind of picky consumers and intense competition with a larger market size, consumer demand became much flatter, more sensitive to the price. Therefore, earlier inefficient firm, which could make this amount of positive profit, became what actually a firm that makes no more money after trade. Their actual level of profit became what? Normal or positive as before, but they became what? Record these types of what? Negative profit. Why? Due to intense competitions. So only efficient firms takes almost everything, while the inefficient firms being kicked out from the market. So this is the case of what winner takes all. Winner takes all features. So given economies of scale effect, when firms shows different symmetric production technology levels, we can see here only the efficient firms will take almost everything, while the inefficient firms will be simply kicked out from the market. So this is another interesting features we can observe from the international trade, where economies of scale effect make a big influence already. And then let us move on to the other interesting issues of multinational corporations. Let's move on. So first we have discussed classical trade theory. And we are done with new trade theory. And now let's talk about so-called the role of multinational corporations and the international trade. Multinational corporations. In short, abbreviation multinational corporations and trade. And when a firm is changed to multinational corporations, when a firm operating only in domestic market, if they started domestic kind of firm or local firm can also cover service the foreign market. How? By exporting. So local firm can serve or penetrate foreign market by simply exporting. But if this local firm makes an operation, corporate operation in the foreign market by foreign direct investment, in short, again, foreign FDI, and if they operate their corporate activity in the foreign market simultaneously in multi-countries, then this local firm is changed to multinational corporations. So what is the difference between the multinational corporation and local firms? Multinational corporations operate their corporate activities in multi-country simultaneously by setting their own firms in foreign country. And this foreign direct investment might take two different types of the path. That is, it might take so-called greenfield FDI, greenfield foreign direct investment. Another path for foreign direct investment would be so-called brownfield investment, foreign direct investment. And literally, greenfield foreign direct investment is the approach types to set up a new firm on greenfield, on nothing. They start totally new, brand new firm in foreign country on greenfield from nothing. And brownfield FDI means they set up their subsidiary firm in foreign country on brownfield. What is brownfield? Field covered by brown-colored bonds and stocks, kind of financial securities that guarantee the ownership of the foreign firms. So this is actually, say, set up a foreign direct investment by so-called merge and acquisitions. So simply purchasing pre-existing brownfield FDI is what? Purchasing the ownership of pre-existing foreign firm. Greenfield FDI is setting a totally new, brand new firm on greenfield from nothing. So this is, again, what is brownfield FDI? Purchasing the ownership of pre-existing foreign firm located in foreign market. And there are two different types. Why brownfield? Simply purchasing brown color stocks and securities of pre-existing foreign firms. And then let's think about why a certain firm choose simply the exporting strategies, while the other firms choose foreign direct investment. And the easy kind of idea can be obtained by straightforward comparison of the profit function. And in case of exporting case, profit from export would be what? Price minus transportation cost. And let's say also there might be marginal cost times total amount of sales would be total profit from exporting. Then what about profit from horizontal foreign direct investment? In this case, if they produce their output in foreign market, they need not to pay transportation cost and also what tariff and other trade barrier cost. So this T is what all international transaction cost. And so this T will be removed in case they choose foreign direct investment. And also they will choose, will pay the production cost in the foreign market times, let's say the amount of sales is the same as before. And in case production cost is also equal in both cases. However, in this case, they have to pay additional fixed cost of setting up a new factory in foreign market. And then if they find what this profit from foreign direct investment is higher than the exporting, then they will choose foreign direct investment. So when will they have this foreign direct profit from foreign direct investment higher than profit from exporting? So if we simply rearrange these two inequality between profit from foreign direct investment and profit from export, we will see that if this term is higher than this term, then we can see that profit from FDI minus profit from export is positive. That is, profit from FDI is larger. So to choose FDI strategy approach is the right approach. When? If the so-called, if international transaction cost. What is T? International transaction cost. What is international transaction cost? Transportation cost plus all the trade barriers is larger, and also the amount of sales in the foreign market is larger. Then what is the right choice? They have to choose foreign direct investment. And also relatively, if the further additional setting cost taking the form of a fixed cost in setting foreign affiliate firm is relatively lower, then choosing foreign direct investment is the right choice. Then when should simply choosing exporting strategy would be the right choice. If just in opposite case, when this condition holds, they have to choose what exporting. This means if the international transaction cost is relatively lower and the amount of sales in the foreign market is relatively lower, while the fixed cost is larger, then simply choosing exporting strategy would be the right approach. So you can easily figure out why small and medium-sized firms are mainly choosing simply exporting strategies, while the big conglomerations choose foreign direct investment. For small and medium-sized firms, probably their sales in the foreign market is not that much big, and also possible transaction cost might not be that much higher. In that case, simply exporting is a better approach. So now we are clear when firm will choose exporting and when firm will choose foreign direct investment. And some further discussion on multinational cooperation would be multinational corporations and trade. And so now we are clear when firm will choose exporting and when firm will choose foreign direct investment. And so also there are two paths. We have seen that to be multinational corporations, they might be a foreign multinational corporations by choosing greenfield FDI, or they might also choose brownfield FDI, simply for purchasing foreign direct investment. And when can you say brownfield FDI is the right choice than greenfield FDI? If the pre-existing firm purchasing the ownership of pre-existing firm provides higher chance to maximize profit, like the so-called strong network effect that can be exercised with the pre-existing firm, then brownfield FDI might be a better option than setting a totally new firm as a greenfield FDI. And the other types of classification actually focusing on the types of foreign direct investment would be so-called, this is how a firm can change to a multinational firm. Then the two different types of mode of FDI would be so-called horizontal FDI, horizontal FDI, foreign direct investment, and vertical FDI. Horizontal FDI is when a headquarter firm set up a new subsidiary firm in foreign countries. They actually replicate in the foreign subsidiary firm, replicate the whole corporate activities of the headquarter firm located in home country. So this would be so-called replication of headquarter firm in the home country. So subsidiary firm in foreign country do everything what is done by this headquarter. Headquarter firm of implying they're doing everything, starting from R&D, production of the part and components, and assembly process, and marketing process. Everything is done in the foreign subsidiary firm, just like this headquarter firm in the home country. However, in case of vertical FDI, this is what we can call so-called fragmentation of corporate activities. So vertical FDI does not relocate whole production process in the foreign country. They set up a foreign subsidiary firm only for a very small part of the corporate activity by fragmenting, splitting of the whole production process. So they might simply locate final assembly line in foreign country, or they might simply set up subsidiary firm that produce part and components. So we can say vertical FDI would be one way of so-called extending, is heavily related with so-called global value chains. In case of horizontal FDI, whole value creating process, corporate activity, is located in the same country. So headquarter firms do everything in home country, and subsidiary firm in foreign country also is doing everything. Whole value creating process is concentrated in one market. That's the case of horizontal FDI. What about vertical FDI? Vertical FDI fragment all the different types of stage of production process. So value creating process is located in global places connected, so we call it global value chains. And this vertical FDI is one type of global value chain controlling foreign subsidiary firm directly by the headquarter firms. And then when should a firm choose horizontal FDI, and when should a firm choose vertical FDI? Just in the same way, we can say compare the profit function of two FDI mode. So we can think about profit from horizontal FDI would be, so let's say this is the price level of finished good minus production cost of finished goods, and they do not pay a tariff or transportation cost in case of horizontal FDI, amount of finished goods. And also, they also locate so-called intermediate goods production process, including R&D process. And let's say altogether intermediate goods minus production cost of intermediate goods in foreign country. And they pay no tariff. Yeah. And also there is fixed cost of finished good process minus fixed good of intermediate goods also in foreign market. And then what about the profit of vertical FDI? Profit of vertical FDI would be, let's say, think about this case. A vertical FDI means just one fragmented part of production process is located in foreign country. And let's think about the case for Samsung Electronics only set up assembly line in China while keeping the part and components line in Suwon campus. In that case, final assembly line will be located just in the foreign country, paying the production cost in foreign country, same thing as before. However, they produce intermediate goods at the same level in South Korea, in Suwon. However, the production cost of intermediate goods here would be production cost of the Korea. And in addition, if they produce intermediate goods here and it bring to China by exporting, then they have to pay the tariff if they export the intermediate good produced in South Korea. And also they, for the finished good process, this fixed price will be, fixed cost will be paid. And while if they operated intermediate goods in Korea, then probably they will not involve much lower fixed cost for the intermediate good production process. So they will choose vertical FDI only when the profit of vertical FDI is higher. Then we can see when this vertical FDI profit might provide higher. So we will have profit. We'll have profit from vertical FDI will be higher than profit from horizontal FDI only when we can see that cost difference, production cost difference between foreign and home country is larger than the tariff and all the transaction cost, and the difference between fixed cost of home minus fixed cost of foreign divided by total output level of intermediate goods. So we can say if this condition hold, only when this condition hold, if this condition hold, they will have to choose vertical FDI. So what does this mean? If there is a big cost difference between home and foreign, if home country's production cost is fairly lower than the foreign country, if there is a big production cost difference while the international transaction cost is small, then choosing what vertical FDI is rational. And for simplicity of our discussion, if this fixed cost for intermediate goods is somewhat similar, then what we have really kind of focus would be only when, if cost difference, intermediate goods, cost difference is larger and kind of international transaction cost. Transaction cost includes transportation cost and also the trade cost. Transaction cost, international cost is lower, then we should choose what? Vertical FDI. Otherwise, if this cost difference is not that big between different locations and relatively transaction cost is larger, then horizontal FDI would be a better approach than the vertical FDI. So we can kind of have some good idea on the firms kind of change in their international business strategies after that amazing guy, Donald Trump's kind of protectionism. What is the direct impact of the protective trade policies? What Donald Trump has done is he has increased what import tariff imposed in steel and aluminum to 50% from less than 2 or 3%. And all those crazy increase of the import tariff imposed by Donald Trump, this what international transaction cost will be increased in a skyrocketing way. Then we might face the case, if this is increased further, we might have opposite kind of inequality sign, implying actually horizontal FDI would be better. And that's what Donald Trump expects. So if you want to sell your product in U.S. market, you have to locate every production kind of unit and process in the U.S. territory if you want to make a final sales in the United States, instead of producing important part and components in other countries like China or other non-U.S. territories. And but till now, still the reason why, even after Donald Trump's kind of crazy tariff increase, still many multinational firms are relatively cautious in relocating their whole production process in the U.S. territory is still what cost difference is relatively big. Still, U.S. Kind of labor force is much more expensive and actually less skilled, relatively less skilled, considering those expensive labor for kind of labor cost. So if the U.S. labor cost is lowered, or U.S. labor kind of skill level of U.S. Workers is improved, with this kind of cost difference is reduced, then higher import tariff imposed by Donald Trump might work. But why say we have to laugh at Donald Trump's whole trial as a futile kind of crazy, stupid things? This cost difference is not that big kind of easy issue to be reduced given current level of U.S. Workers' skill level and their wage rate. All right, and this is some discussion we need to make about the different types of foreign direct investment, its implication on multinational corporations' kind of foreign direct investment strategies. And next issue we might discuss would be, so now we are talking about multinational corporations' strategies in trade. And we have discussed all different types of foreign direct investment. And then also we might think about when we need to choose so-called offshoring strategies, and when we need to take so-called onshoring strategies. And we can roughly categorize into two different ones. Offshoring and onshoring or reshoring. Offshoring means all the intermediate goods are actually provided from foreign countries. However, onshoring is all intermediate goods is provided by the domestic firms. So there are two types of offshorings. First thing is so-called vertical foreign direct investment for the intermediate goods in the foreign countries, or we can think about so-called international outsourcing, foreign outsourcing. Outsourcing is what? They get supplied intermediate goods for the headquarter firm is supplied by foreign firms based on the contract with the foreign firms, which is not directly controlled by the headquarter firms. And then, even in case of onshoring, we can think about two different types. That is, they might set up their own firm producing intermediate goods by vertical integration of the kind of upstream firms. Or they might simply supplied by other domestic firms based on the contract with the firm that is not directly controlled. So-called, this would be a domestic outsourcing. And difference between offshoring and onshoring is they have to, in this case, real big difference is what? So-called international transaction cost. International transaction cost. Mainly tariff and other non-tariff, tariff and non-tariff trade barriers, and other types of transportation cost. Transportation cost. So physical transaction cost and also other institutional transaction cost. If this transaction cost is high enough, then definitely onshoring strategy is what rational strategies. And if this tariff is lower and the transaction cost isn't relatively not that high, then offshoring would be the optimal strategies. And then what about these two types of different approach? So what is the difference between vertical FDI and foreign outsourcing? In case of foreign outsourcing, we can describe this as a contract based on so-called arm's length contract with the other firms out of direct control. This is what so-called direct control of all the management of the firm producing intermediate goods. So this direct control will have so-called internalization effect. Internalization. What internalization? Mainly to prevent technology spillover and also to promote efficient, to prevent technology spillover and also hold the problem. And also to promote efficient technology transfer between integrated firms. And in case of the offshoring or onshoring based on arm's length contract, what is arm's length contract? Contract just with the handshaking at the distance with this length of arm's length. The maximum thing I can do with you is just handshaking. And we can make whatever difference changes only when both guys agrees at the distance of arm's length. I cannot control you directly. The only way we can make difference is based on our own mutual agreement, contract. So basically, the firm providing intermediate good in foreign country or in domestic country is not under my own direct control. What we can make a change is only based on our own mutually agreed contract. So in that case, good thing is if you can produce at much cheaper price without any more additional cost for my own direct control, it would be good. So relatively for less technology intensive sectors, it would be a good choice. But what about the case if kind of what is supplied by the supplier of intermediate good in foreign country or domestic country is what heavily involved with very high-tech technologies which is required to be controlled strictly just within the firm, then this arm's length contract-based approach would be somewhat inefficient, since these contracting firm might steal my technologies. Or in some cases, if I need to get supplied by really high precision technologies intensive after procedures, then I need to teach these contracted firm the technology required for their refined products. But it might be that easy to transfer those high technologies to the contracted firm in foreign or domestic, which is totally out of my control. In that case, all those issues can be categorized as a so-called internalization problem. So internalization means all the problem that happens because you and I are different and you are totally out of my control. And what is the hold-up problem? Hold-up problem is the hold-up means just to hold each other's and to make a new change and make a difference is really difficult, because every change should be made by making new contract. So making contract itself is quite costly and time-consuming activities. So when there is a rapid change in technological development, and when they have to adapt quite in a speedy way with the changing business environment, then whenever you have to make a new contract with independent firms in home or foreign country, it'll be really costly. So to reduce all those hold-up problem, and also the possible spillover, prevent possible spillover, or to promote required internal technology transfer, this direct control approach would be much more efficient. That is, setting up their own firm in foreign country, or simply purchasing the intermediate good producing firm, or setting their own firm produce intermediate good under their own perfect control. So in both cases, offshoring would be the best strategy only when international transaction cost is low. So when the tariff rate is low and other trade barrier is low, then offshoring would be the best strategy. That's what had happened during the so-called globalization era before Donald Trump showed up. So since 1980s till 1917, when Donald Trump jumped up with his first administration, we can say the whole global production network become so-called global value chains. So global value chains, sometimes taking the form of the direct vertical FDI, in which cases when internalization effect is very important, when it's mainly in technology intensive sector, sectors. When technology itself really matters. And when the arm's length contract is the major dominant, if the technology issue itself is not sensitive issue and important issues, mainly massive production of less technology intensive sectors have been mainly supplied by this based on arm's length contract taking the form of foreign outsourcing. So when these types of offshoring was the dominant optimal strategies, then this whole production process came to take the form of global value chains. But after Donald Trump has increased import tariff in a crazy way and tried to push the multinational firms to convince that, hey, you guys, instead of setting up those production facility in foreign country, why don't you come back to U.S. territories and produce everything within U.S. territory, or at least make a contract with the U.S. firms by imposing import tariff. And again, as we have seen before, that kind of Trump approach will make sense only when this difference is reduced. As long as U.S. Kind of production cost is really high enough with the higher labor cost and relatively inefficient technology, unskilled U.S. Labor force is remain as before, then all these kind of Trump's efforts will turn out just as a stupid, futile effort, just distorting world economy, making the global production efficiency getting much worse already. And now I think we are almost done with the discussion of multinational corporations and related trade issues. And now let's try to move on to next issue, that is international trade issues, trade policy issues. So we are again review of international trade theory. We are done with classical trade theory. We are done with new trade theory. And also we are done with discussion about multinational corporations and trade. And these are altogether we can call, say, trade theories. And then let's move on to the trade policies and welfare effects of trade policies. And trade policies can be roughly categorized into two types. First types would be so-called price intervention. And second type would be quantity intervention. And this price intervention can be categorized roughly into two types: import tariff, or export subsidies, which mainly affect the relative price of the, say, international products in international trade. And quantity intervention would be price trade policy, which directly control the amount of the traded goods. And one typical example would be import quota or even export quota. Quota means what? Simply, they set up the maximum limit of the import or export by strict quantity controls. Or the other types of quantity intervention would be so-called voluntary export restraint. Voluntary export restraint. Basically, same thing in Reagan period and Donald Bush. Instead of setting import quota by U.S. side, Bush suggested Japanese Prime Minister, hey, you guy, instead of my own setting the upper limit of the imported good we might allow, why don't you set your own upper limit of export voluntarily by your own choice? So export limit, or in euphony, export restraints, why don't you set up your upper limit of export restraint voluntarily? But same story, just setting upper limit of export. It's another types of quantity interventions. And we will examine what kinds of welfare effect we can expect from all these different types of import, tariff, subsidy, and other types of quantity interventions. So, we're talking about trade policies and welfare effects. And first, let's have a brief discussion on tariff. In case of tariff, there are two types of tariff. That is ad valorem tariff, and specific tariff. Ad valorem tariff is literally tariff imposed at the value. So in that case, domestic price after tariff would be tariff is imposed in the international price. Tariff is imposed to the value. So tariff is imposed to the value. So imported goods domestic price would be 1 plus ad valorem tariff rate times international price of the imported goods. And then what about the specific tariff? This tariff will be imposed on each specific amount of the imported goods. So domestic price of the imported good after tariff would be, they will say tariff is imposed to each specific amount of good. So let's say this amount of imported goods, and tariff is directly imposed on each specific amount of the imported goods for domestic international price plus what tariff itself, specific amount of tariff imposed to the tariff. So total what value of imported goods with this one. So when you simply focus on the domestic tariff itself, according to specific tariff, it would be simply international price plus certain amount of the tariff, not as a percentage, but a certain amount of money as a tax on the imported good. This would be a specific tariff. Then, when can you say this specific tariff is used instead of ad valorem tariff, and when ad valorem tariff is imposed? To impose ad valorem tariff, what they need to do is to just have an information on the value, price, and value of the imported goods. So as long as they have the documentation of the imported goods, then it's what tariff imposing agency simply can decide and impose import tariff, and it is much more easy from the administrative process. However, to impose a specific tariff, they have to count each amount of imported good, and they have to impose this tariff to each amount of imported good, implying they have to count the number of each imported goods. So when do you think this specific tariff would be better approach? The case when they need to count each imported goods. What is the case? Like the very sensitive product, like the arms and narcotic products, and other very sensitive or dangerous product, they need to count each imported amount of these sensitive goods. In those cases, the specific tariff is better option. Otherwise, we can say the majority of the tariff takes the form of the ad valorem tariff. And next week, we will examine the welfare effect of tariff. Tariff is what? Basically, a tax imposed on imported goods, right? So, what will be the impact of this tax on the welfare? So, the basic guideline we need to be reminded once again would be whatever types of policy intervention, whether it takes the form of tax on imported goods, and this tariff can be also imposed on the export good as an export tax. So when can you say these tax policies or even subsidy policies can improve social welfare? The bottom line we need to keep in mind is policy intervention can improve social welfare only when it corrects market failures. Next week we will find very strange outcomes showing that in majority cases trade policy as a policy intervention actually deteriorates social welfare, just like the efforts made by Donald Trump these days. But however, also we will find some case when trade policy can improve social welfare. And we will find that the only case that trade policy intervention can improve the social welfare is the case that policy intervention corrects market failure. And without this kind of types of aspect that policy intervention, tariff subsidy actually reduce, say, market failure, then, except this case, majority of the policy intervention actually reduce the social welfare, just as currently Donald Trump is doing. And then also we will face another mystery. Why throughout the recent history, all this welfare deteriorating, actually market distorting trade policy has been so widely adopted throughout the majority of the economies and countries. And that mystery will be also explained by so-called political economic approach of these trade policies. And then we might have much better idea on the current political economic structure of the international trade regimes, and we can have some good picture, not only in current kind of crisis of the international trade system, but on the future shape of the international trade system we might make and we might dream already. And let's say that's it for today, this week's discussion, and let's continue our discussion on this welfare effect of trade policy next week and try to figure out solution for current deadlock of the global trading system. And see you next week.